Hey, welcome back. So, in this video, we will talk about the object-oriented programming or paradigm with the blueprints. So, in the previous video, we have talked about the variables and functions, which gives us understanding of how to just play with the normal blueprints, and we have talked about some of the common operations, the things like uh, division, addition. So some of the common operations, and we are finding the distance between the two vectors and just keep damaging the player, right? We are going to extend that behavior with this new concept, and before that, we will cover the theory part first. So what are them? The first one is the class. So what is meant by the class? So class means class blueprints. They both people will call them interchangeably. So they both are same, which means it is like a template that how it should need to behave. And object are like the instances of the template, like how should it needs to behave in the real world. Confusing? So let's say we have two different kinds of cubes that will one will heal the player and another one will uh, damage the player. Okay, so to heal the player we will write the logic separately, and for damaging the player we will write the logic separately. So what does it mean? It means two different functionalities we are going to write. And how should we classify them? That will depend upon the instances. Okay, so in Unreal we commonly have some examples of the classes like game mode, which can be spawned by the engine itself, that will handle the game related logics, like that will actually handle the rules of the game. Okay, an actor, which we have talked about all the stuff that we are physically seeing in the game level, we need to call them as the actors until unless it is getting one step ahead, like pawn class, which means a controllable actor, whether it should be controlled by the player or you can just give the control to the AI. And character, a specialized pawn which with just some customized movements like we have in the real world, like we are walking, swimming, like this, right? So we will have those things, those kind of things. So like I said, objects. So class is the design and object is the real world representation. We will talk about the example now. So here you see we have the damage. We will create a damage object as a blueprint, as a class. So that will just define whether it needs to damage the player or it will heal the player. That is called the behavior, right? So we will create a blueprint and we will start implementing the unique behaviors for them. So the object 1 might heal the player and object 2 will damage the player with a less amount. Okay, so objects always have unique set of properties, and two enemies, like imagine two enemies are there in the level. Okay, so one will just attack aggressively and another one will attack in a low tier based on the intelligence level. So there are a lot of different examples that we can able to see and tell for an object and a class. So instead of the theory part, now we will see them in the real world scenario so that we can able to understand better. So this is where we left in the previous video. Like if I press the one key, the distance between the actor, the particular cube. I mean, like let's say this cube and here is our actor, right? So the distance between them will be calculated, and if it was less than 750 meters, we can able to damage the player, right? We are going to extend this functionality, but now we have the idea about what is meant by the class and objects, right? So this cube we can't able to just directly say in the level blueprints it's fine, because these cubes the outline will be tracked by the outliner, and like I said, the full control of the outliner will be given to the level blueprints, right? But we are going to damage the player. Now I'm going to encapsulate this logic within the player. So I'm opening my third person character blueprint. Like I said, classes and blueprints, people will use this name interchangeably. So you see what is meant by the class settings here. Now you can understand this better. So class settings, which means this is the how the class should be constructed. Okay, whether it should need to help, it should need to implement any interface. We will talk about that later. And class defaults, which means like you see a lot of the different datas are there, location, rotation, scale under the mesh category. So it will be like that. Okay, so I'm going to create two variables which I meant like the data. So one is the health variable like we have given here, right? So health variable, and another one should be the max health. Another one should be the max health. Okay, so both of those things I need them in the float. I will change the data types, and I'm going to give them a category. So I am selecting the variable, and in the category I'm just going to say the player properties. I'm going to say the player properties. Okay, so under this I'm going to drag and drop this. Let's compare this, and I'm going to give you a default value, don't forget it. So health should be 100, maximum health also should be 100. That could be better. Now what should we need to do? So instead of just saying we didn't talk about the enhanced input, so I'm going to use the raw input value. So I'm pressing the one key in my keyboard. So if I press the one key, it means I need to do some actions. Later, if we understand the collision system, we can automate this process. When you get near, automatically an event will get triggered, and you will get damage uh, based on the instigator. Okay. So now I'm going to cut this logic and I'm going to paste it up there. Oh my bad. Just instead of this event, Control X, I'm going to paste it up here. So you see some functions could not be resolved in that new context. How should you like to fix them? I don't need anything, so I can just say I don't need to do anything. Okay. If I press the one, connect the branch, I need to check the distance. You see the object is now unknown, which means this character doesn't know about what should we do. We have a lot of the different errors are there. So we are going to fix this up with our knowledge that we have gained about the classes of the object. So how should we refer this object first? So I'm going to just say this damage player, right? So just delete this function. If I press the tick button, now it should be compiled. Now we need to we need to find a class reference for this object. Like this is a static mesh actor. Okay, instead of disturbing the default level related properties, I'm going to create a new blueprint. So inside my blueprints, maybe I can give here, I can say level objects. So I'm going to create a blueprint. Now you can see the blueprint class. Okay, it's going to be the actor. Yeah, it's actor is fine enough. For now, we can just use the actor. We can say BP. Uh, it can damage or it can damage or heal. Okay, it can damage or heal the player. So this is the blueprint. Like I said, we need a visual representation now. So we need to add a component, and if I click the plus button and just say static mesh component, or you can directly say I need a cube. So might we say we can add a cube directly. So it is just a um, visual mesh, and basically we need to have a material, right? So we will start creating a materials now. So red color means we will say the um, characteristics or um, the sense of damage, sense of damage. If I click here and just say right click, and I know this is like a hard thing, but we can, let's say we will talk about the blueprints in the separate video. So for now I'm going to say I need a constant 3 variable which I can plug it to the blueprint and right click and make them to the parameter. So it's like the uh, object color, object color. So by default it will be the red color, might be that will fit, or it's looking like the orange, right? So we can use the keyboard shortcut 001, which means red. Let's start applying that. And now let's proceed with those things. Sense of damage, and I should need to apply this for this mesh. Okay. So I selected this mesh in the, I selected this material in the content browser. So I'm going for the blueprints and just press this button. Now this material should be applied. So here, this arrow. Okay. So this should now heal the player, or it should need to damage the player. But now I need to say I am going to create a material instance so that I can able to customize the color property which we exposed as the parameter, right? So it's like the material instance of sense of damage, okay, shortcut. So I would say like we should need to change this to the green color. So green will heal the player and red will damage the player. So we start applying this now. All right. So now I'm going to say like how should we going to represent them. This blueprint should need to know about that. Okay. For this I'm going to create a new variable which it is going to be an object. Okay. Like damage object 1, and this one is damage object 2. So they both are going to be like we need to refer as some actor, right? So I'm going to say static mesh. They are static mesh actors because cubes are generally static mesh in the Unreal. Okay, so we gotta say static mesh, and okay, so we have created this, and now we should need to say like let's say we need a reference for them, right? It should be like first of all we need to know that if it was a damage one, according to our PPT, you see the damage one will heal the player, damage two object two will heal the player, and damage object two will damage the player. Okay, so I need to have a reference for damage two. Damage object two. If it was a damage object two, then we can able to see it here, and we don't need the player pawn here since we are the player. So we should need to say I don't need this. Get actor location, and it's going to be the self. So what does it mean by self? Self means an object version of this class. We can right click and just select the self. Okay, context sensitive. So you can see get a reference to the self. Both are same. Okay, both are same. We can check it up, and now we need to write a functionality for get damage. So I'm going to write a function now. Object 1 and damage 2. So similarly, first we will talk about the damage functionality. We will implement that, and later that we will talk about those things. Okay. So we have the functionality here, damage player, right? Why can't we just copy this? I can say copy. Here I'm going to paste it up. So if I just paste it up, it will just show the logic, right? So here I could just left click, right click, and just say collapse to function. That will be damage the player, or you can say get damage. Compile, it will throw some error. So those things we need to fix up. So first thing we are going to say like we are understanding the object oriented concept, right? So we will later implement this armor section. So I'm going to delete this armor parts. We are just going to focus only on the this health part. Okay. So what is the damage that we should need to give? So I'm going to make an input, and let's say damage, it should be a float. Yeah. So we can say now get damage. Oh no, this should be like damage. This is the variable. Okay. So far we will start setting our health variable here. Going for the even graph. Now we can able to see, we can able to get the damage here. So damage should be 15. So our player properties here, this should be get reduced. Okay. We gotta check whether it is working or not. So let's check it up now. So if we press the one key, we need to damage the player if we are getting closer to the things. But one thing we don't need to forget, like we have created the reference, like there is some object that is going to damage, that we are going to check it up. But people will call it as the null pointer, which means it won't work. It will actually crash or it will throw error. Okay, it won't work. So we should need to say which particular object should you need to point. What is the particular object? How should we get it up? So this is the most unoptimized way. I strongly suggest we should not use this, but for understanding purpose, now we will use it up. Okay. So we have a functionality node called get the actor of class. So this one belongs to the gameplay statics, and the actor class should be bp underscore um, where is it, damage or heal. So I have selected the class, so actor class here. So which means what is the particular type of blueprint? I need this blueprint as the object reference. So if I get it up, how I will get the value, right? So according to our documentation, we see damage object 2 will damage the player. Okay. I need to set it up. Hold on the alt key, drag and drop. We can get the settings. Now you see we are mentioning that object as a reference in our third person character blueprint. Oh, I didn't place that object yet in the level, so you see the level object, I need to get to place it up here. Maybe I can say here the root component is there. Okay. Instead of this things, I'm going to make this one as the root component, so that we have no geometry issues. Play this one. Let's check whether it is working or not. So if I press the one key, not within the damage radius, I need to make sure whether there is nothing in the blueprints, level blueprints. Okay, we have transferred the logic. I remember a guy has asked in the comment section, like we need to do something with the gameplay character, right? So we are slowly coming up to the concept. Yeah, if I press the one key, you see not within the damage radius. If I just get to press closer here, you see my health is getting reduced now.